Hello everyone, William Flakes here for the play therapy assignment. Just want to jump right in and touch bases on the assignment. For this assignment, my targeted population are children whose parents are incarcerated. This is a very near and dear subject to my heart. It hits close to home. So with that being said, let's jump right into it. So for the sake of this population, I found 3 articles for my literature review, and the articles are Issues Affecting the Efficacy of Programs of Children with Incarcerated Parents. The second article is Making a Better World for Children of Incarcerated Parents. And the third, As the Man in the Classroom and the Testosterone. I thought it would be nice to look at it from a male approach. Incarcerated fathers and their children, perceptions of barriers to their relationship. So, with that being said, key points that I got from the literature and that really stuck out and made me want to put together this game are as follows. In America, we only account for about 5% of the world's population, yet the United States has the largest prison population in the world, approximately 25% to be exact. With those numbers, approximately 2.7 million children at some point in their life have been affected by a parent that's been incarcerated or put in prison. And I thought that was a huge number. And someone had to, bring those numbers to the forefront of things. Out of that 2.7 million, 1.7 million children currently today have parents, either both or one, locked up in jail, which accounts for an array of problems such as more kids in foster care and things of that nature. Next, a child with an incarcerated parent is more likely to do poorly in school. They're more likely to suffer from depression, be withdrawn from others, display behavior problems, be kind of standoffish, grades not doing as well. They really, have a lack of authority in their lives. A feeling of neglect. All these things play a role in what happens with kids whose parents are incarcerated, and it's alarming. I figured that, talking about this would shine some light upon the situation, because healthy, not healthy, but children who have therapy or acknowledge the fact or have some kind of culpability or someone to kind of bridge the gap between, being a child and having an incarcerated parent. When relationships are tied together and there's some mediation there, children are more likely to have healthy child development, a less chance of the parents returning to prison, and they're able to break generational misconduct, meaning that once it's brought to the forefront of the cognition, kids are less likely to have what we consider generational curses, or pass along the behavior that the kid might mimic from the parent. In other words, if the parents went to prison, then the children, if it's brought to their attention and there's some therapy done, they're probably likely not to go or not to follow the behavior. A 2009 study detailed that the prison population is housing 1.6 million parents, and out of that 1.6 million parents, approximately 92% are males. So there's that whole male point of view, that whole testosterone avenue, which is a shame. A lot of times when we think of children with parents that are incarcerated, we think of it from the mother side of things. We often only pair with the mothers, but the numbers are actually higher for fathers. A lot of times, fathers kind of get washed away in the background of it, and we tend to focus on only the institutionalized barriers, such as the length of time they might have to serve, or the nature of the crime. If a person may have been a convicted child molester, a lot of times we look at that as something that might break the barrier of the relationship with the children. It just depends on the nature of the crime. Murder, for example. I found it interesting that when children have a relationship with their parents that are incarcerated, or there's an ongoing dialogue or anything like that, 30% of the prison population is less likely to suffer from recidivism. So 30% are more likely to not return to prison. And I thought that was great. So I think that there needs to be some kind of program put into place that really focuses on bridging that gap for children and incarcerated parents, instead of just the parents locked away, so there's really no kind of relationship going on there. So I thought that was interesting. So with that being said, I would like at this time to go ahead and introduce my game to you guys, okay? So the name of my game is called Safe Haven, okay? Safe Haven. So welcome to the fun and therapeutic game of Safe Haven. Safe Haven is a board game that is used in social work practice with children who have parents that are incarcerated. The game is for ages 7 to 17, so basically minors. When you're old enough to kind of understand, all the way to the point right before you are considered an adult. Alright, furthermore, the game is designed to implement therapy in a fun, one-on-one interactive way that would make children feel as though they are playing a game as a substitute for being counseled. In other words, we want to make them feel like, they're having fun and not going through grueling therapy, which can be intimidating sometimes. So in other words, you're implementing therapy, counseling, and taking them through a therapeutic adventure, but when they're having fun while they're doing it, hopefully it masks the whole dialogue and the wording of it, and they're having so much fun that it covers up the fact that they're getting therapy. The game is not about winning and losing. Do not want the kids to have any reason to get upset, or if they feel like they lost at anything. So it's not centered around winning or losing, but instead about taking a child who is in a session from a beginning place of doubt, neglect, uncertainty, disturbance, to a place of safety where they can be free to express themselves openly, with comfort, and they are totally in control. And with that being said, being totally in control is the first beginning part of the game, which I'll demonstrate here in a minute. As far as the directions of the game go, okay, to play Safe Haven, the social worker must help a child visualize and mentally set up a safe place, which is what I just said, basically. Write the name of the safe place down, and then basically put it into the Safe Haven. So I got to take them through a mental process of figuring out what that safe place is. We write it down, and we put it as part of what we're trying to get to. The ultimate goal is to try to reach that safe place. So the safe place represents a place of both freedom and sanctuary for the child. And upon making it there, the child can choose what, why, how, and etc., what they would like to do or discuss for an appropriated time designed by the social worker. So once they make it to the sanctuary, to the safe haven, they're in control. We can do whatever they want to do, talk about whatever they want to talk about, that type of thing. They're controlling the flow of the therapy at that point. Moving along, The game starts with a small object of their choosing to represent themselves and a short explanation as to why they selected the identified piece. The child would then place the piece at the start position of the game, roll one dice with the numbers 1 through 6, and moving their piece forward according to the number they roll. Depending on where the figure lands on the board, color determines the task to be completed at that time. This is to continue all the way until the child reaches their safe haven, or the end, which represents their ideal place of peace and comfort. Okay? So, with that being said, at this point, I'm going to give you guys a brief look at the board. Let you guys see exactly what it looks like. Safe haven, so it's a spiral that ends up to our safe haven. So this would be considered our safe haven. So just to go ahead and put the game into my own words off of paper, what we would do in the beginning is we would set up safe place. Now, to set up safe place, basically what we would do is we would basically have the child close their eyes, and we would tell them something like, maybe imagine a place, either imaginary or real, where they feel safe and calm and comfortable. And then we would begin to ask them things like, what are the emotions they feel when picturing this place? Ask them to describe what they're visualizing, what they see, what sensations they feel, where they feel it in their body, what smells they notice, that type of thing. We would enhance the imagery that way. And after we would do that, we would have them name the place, put a name to the place, and we would ask them to basically merge that thought with the thought of our safe haven. And we would have them write the name of that place down. So let's say they decide to name their place Never Neverland, and they see a place with pink trees and waters with diamonds glowing in it. However, I don't know, whatever makes them feel comfortable. And we would then write it, fold it up, put it in the safe haven, and place it in the center of the game. Okay? We would then have them select a piece that represents them. So for me, I chose the new Dodge Charger. Want one of these, but since I'm a family man, you know, I'm more like an SUV kind of guy, but still want to feel like I can ride, you know, in the wind in a sports car. So this would make me happy. For my daughter, it will be a pendulum that she won at her very first track meet. Something that represents success for her, that represents winning and being dominant and being in control. For me, it would be being free, having fun, going back to my youth type thing. So once you pick it, you would place that at the starting position, and you would roll the dice. So you roll the dice, and depending on what number it is, you'd move to that spot. Okay, so for time's sake, I'll just take you through each color. So let's say they land on an orange. If they land on an orange, that's considered the parental deck. Okay, so if you land on an orange space, that means a card will be drawn from the orange deck, and the client will be asked a question, and then they can share an answer of a question pertaining to their parent that's incarcerated. So I'll give you an example of some of the questions that they might land on. If you can tell your parent anything, what would it be? What would you say? What would you change about your parent? Let's see. What is your favorite memory of your parent? Or tell me a time when you and your parent were at the pinnacle that you really enjoyed yourself. How often do you get to talk to your parent? You know, just questions like that. So if they would, moving along, if they would land on a blue space, the blue space is the personality deck, and it's all about them. Meaning that a card drawn from this deck, the client would be asked a question about themselves, and they would answer a question according to that. And those could be about emotions, goals, things of that nature. So couple of examples of that would be, what is something you would like to have your parent know about you that they don't know? Or what advice would you give a child in your situation? You know, things of that nature. Okay. Next, moving on to the green space, which is my favorite. If they land on a green space, this is called the movement deck. So basically, they would get a therapeutic exercise, which will take place, such as deep breathing, stretching, things of that nature. So I'll give you a few of these. So say we wanted to have them work with their hands. We would say, pretend you are a lemon. Pretend you are holding a lemon. Squeeze the lemon as tight as you can. Squeeze it, as if you're trying to get every ounce of juice out of there, as tight as you can, and then relax. So it's just helping them to stretch their hands and things of that nature. Or we would say something like, let's see here. Pretend you are a turtle. Push your head down into your shoulders, or push your shoulders up to your ears, getting them to stretch the neck, that type of thing. Just something to relax them. Or deep breathing exercise. Pretend your belly is a balloon and you're trying to inflate it and deflate it full of air. Just something therapeutic to get the body in motion. Okay? So if they would roll the dice and they were to land on a red space, the red space is what's the trickery deck, and that's just to add some fun to the game. With the trickery deck, landing on a red space, you might have to do something like immediately pick up a blue card, or move forward 2 spaces and then back 3 spaces. Return to the start position. Just little fun things that makes them have to jump around the board. So I thought that would be kind of interesting. And the last color, which is gold. Gold, everybody likes gold. So landing on a gold space is the chance deck. And the chance deck is basically where kids can have an opportunity to win an incentive. And it's not about giving out rewards or anything of that nature, but basically it's about keeping the child engaged, keeping them interactive. They know they have a chance to gain something that's precious to them. It kind of keeps them into it and wanting to go forward. So these include things like if they land on a gold space, they may have the opportunity to win a candy bar, or say they might be able to pick something out of a prize box, or a gift certificate to McDonald's or Chick-fil-A or something like that. So with that being said, I think the only things that may be a barrier to this game is knowing the educational level of the client. So if they're not comfortable reading aloud, then maybe the social worker or who's ever implementing the game will have to read it to them. Or knowing their nutrition or dietary problems or anything like that, if candy is not something they can have. So maybe just finding a lot more out about the client. So they will continue to do this all the way until they make it to the end. And once they make it to the end, they made it to their safe haven. And that would conclude the game at this time. Safe haven. So I hope y'all enjoy it.